Okay, we're gonna have a group presentation today, and what we're gonna do, I want you to go to assignment, and for you to submit this file, only one person in your group needs to submit it. So, if you go to simple PSA game, and you can submit it, but you can, again, only one person in your group needs to submit the file. Okay? And while we're doing presentation, I want you to download this one, group eval peer evaluation form. And I want you to fill in this. Okay. And so this is for you to evaluate this group activity. Okay. And one thing I want you to understand is, okay, you probably, you probably did group project before, and or it could be your first time to do group project. But either way, I'm sure there were many kind of learning moment to learn some new stuff. Number one, if it worked out really well, that's great, and you developed that team chemistry, and that's great. If it didn't work out, you can possibly recap, like why and what could have done differently to make it better. And another thing is, in our industry, we still have crunch time. So you have to think about, sometimes at the beginning, if everyone works as planned, it could be done on time, but that's not the case all the time. Okay? Even in like a big companies, sometimes, they probably do have more than enough manpower, but somehow if one department couldn't make a deadline, then basically everything will get kind of messed up, and they have to go through the crunch time. But that's the kind of nature of our industry. So you will, experience that crunch time, whether you like it or not. I think I kind of saw that like last night, and I looked at your Slack channel, and then yes, some people still were working like last night, and well, some group actually finished it earlier. But either way, I really want you to kind of understand the nature of our industry, and hopefully next time when you work on the group project, it will get better. Okay? And eventually, you kind of master like how to work with other people. So when you're gonna be a senior and work on senior project, it would be a lot easier for you to manage your team. Okay? So I want you to kind of fill that in. And another thing is, if you look at this one, it might be a little harsh, but I want you to kind of think about this. Okay, you kind of need. It's not like if you have 5 people for the game project. Well, it's not like everyone contribute to the project equally. Okay? There's reason why, because sometimes your project probably didn't need much of audio or sound design. Okay? By the nature, then audio person, sound designer, or the composer probably didn't contribute equally as graphic artist or programmer. Okay? I mean, it happens. So right now we are in school, so like we have this culture that we try to pat our friends back and then saying, "Oh, you did great, you did wonderful job." But in reality, I hate to say this, but in reality, it's not like that. Okay? In reality, you have to think about how you want to contribute to the project so that they still want you. Okay? Recently, I talked to a person from Pixar, and then like he said, yeah, like probably a few years ago, actually Pixar has a really nice kind of work schedule. You can literally decide your own work schedule as long as you meet the deadline. But that has been changed because the industry, there's a lot of pressure from industry and market. So it got the production time got shorter and shorter and shorter. And another thing is, even though you work at Pixar, okay, you work on like one project, and if that project is done, you will get evaluated. And then if you perform well, and you will be placed on the next project. If not, you actually have to leave. Game project, same thing. Let's say, yes, it's a dream job to work on a big project at AAA studio, but usually now, production time for like a big game probably sometimes 18 months or more. So your job security is secure for that period of time. But once that project is over, again, you will be reevaluated depending on your performance. And if it's good, yes, you will continue to work there and then placed on better project, different project. If not, you will be placed on kind of not so just maintenance of game, and basically that means, oh, you're not really important to us. So they're kind of like hinting you that they kind of want you to leave. Okay? So that's what happens in game industry. So it's tough. So I kind of want you to know that, and even now, yes, this is a one small project, but I kind of want you to think about what's the best way for you to contribute your project so that you will be wanted for other projects and or in the future. Okay. And then I guess like I also teach Game 300 and sometimes 489, like portfolio and those kind of things. And then yeah, it's harsh reality, harsh reality. And then if you're animator, it's even worse because you have to actually look for a job like every single season because you usually get the contract for that one season. Good friend of mine actually worked on Futurama, and then like he said, yeah, they pay us great, but the problem is, as as time goes near to the end of season, everyone actually focuses on their portfolio because they know, like they have to look for another like a kind of contract. Anyways, that's kind of gloomy, but still, we're making fun games, so I think that's a good thing. All right, so let's do this. What you can do, if you can, okay, two ways. One, you can bring your USB and show us your game and explanation of who did what and that kind of stuff. Okay? And I'll try to record it so that later you can see how you did on your presentation. Okay? So let's do that. What I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to actually
So I'm trying to run our game's exe, and when I run it, it says there's no like Unity player dot DLL.
Okay.
And I don't know what that, it's like if I try to click it.
So basically, that could be DLL is library file, and depending on like which version you use it. So when you installed it, maybe like that DLL file wasn't installed correctly.
Okay.
So for now, just for quick fix, you can just put.
I mean, should it work if I put it on the USB and put it on?
Possible. So
Okay.
you can try to do that, but at the same time, you can just use the project folder,
Yeah.
and then open it over there
Okay.
if it doesn't work.
Professor, what's the name of the evaluation?
Doesn't matter. If you just submit it there, well, I still see under your name. So here you have the computer. Panel, control panel. All right.
Hello everyone. This is a game that we made about bullying. My name is Mira. I was manager and an editor.
My name's Kara. I was the character.
My name is Lisa. I was doing the respectful games and editing.
I'm Amy. I'm the writer.
My name is Ju. I was doing programming games. And we'll just walk through a little bit and as we go, point out things that we did. So Geo originally made the architecture for each individual stage. So we had, I put everything together to make a display, and I had some trouble, but so each of these stages in the
students are, they're basically people who would probably be bullied as well. Like the girl here, she's very quirky, she's very different, so she'd be targeted for that. The other friend, he's a bit awkward and nerdy, so you all kind of form kind of a little group of it shared.
So I feel it's more than is more bullying. And go ahead and promise them to pay. Here's another one of the friends. So in total, I think 2 friends and 2 bullies and unseen me. Yeah. That's it for now. I think you're more than I have later.
Probably will add more background, detail, or
Yeah.
special locations, special things.
Right. And as you can see, there's a good bit of writing on the screen for all of them. We had a much longer script planned, but right now there's only a few events here. I think I was able to get 5 or 6 in total from what we had. And I think when we get the larger script, we'll have to, I'll take out a bunch of my edits and we'll actually have like our running stories. There's just a few loosely related events today. So here, after a whole day of dealing with bullies and stress, you finally get to test, which is the main metric of the game. And so you get one final choice to cheat or not cheat. I'm going to choose not to cheat. I didn't put in any sort of getting caught for cheating just yet, but I figured that in the book we might work on that. Maybe put in like, people that would rat on you or something. I'm not sure. But we take the stress level that you have in the game and we use that to calculate your grade just by taking 100 and subtracting the total stress level. And that's supposed to show how much it's impacted you in your academic life. In this short prototype, you don't really accumulate enough stress for it to make a much of a meaningful impact, but it's still there. And actually, if you want to play, it is possible to get over 100 if you really try. That's the mean. And I think there's anything else. I think we can talk about the things that we wanted to work on. You guys had. I know that we wanted to extend the game, like I said, and I think we talked a little bit about redoing some of the programming for more simplicity, more UI.
Yeah, well, originally we planned out 2 variables. So the first variable we had was stress, and the second variable was going to be knowledge. But due to time constraints, we only got to stress. So how it worked is that you could choose to hang out with friends. It would lower your stress game, but it would decrease your knowledge. So by minimizing your stress, you actually increase your knowledge over time. So it's actually a double-edged blade. So in reality, there's like no good way to win the game.
We drew a lot of inspiration from the game that Professor Nam showed in class, the one about poverty. I can't remember the name.
Placement.
Right. So yeah, we were the two resource management, something we were thinking of, and I think we are also going to put in flags in some way of jumping between like different events or things that would happen under certain circumstances. But those will be for a more improved version as we work on it and extend what we've already got. Thank you all for listening.
So, what do you guys think? Okay, anything?
It's kind of difficult to read between the choices because the texts are so close together
Yeah.
that I thought I was reading like one paragraph and got very confused for a moment.
Legibility, yeah, a little bit, and then definitely, yeah, text-based and you have to choose the right font and right color so that like whenever you have pretty decent background image. So I think it's good that we see it, but at the same time, you have like too much text on the top of it, so it was kind of hard to read. And yes.
I liked the idea of the game. It looks really nice and both of you guys put a lot of thought into how it work, and I think the presentation was really good. Good job, you guys.
Okay. And anyone else? Sess. Anything? What would you do to improve this game?
The game or the presentation?
Game.
Game, probably just improvement on text wrapping. You could have nice backgrounds. I really enjoyed the music. Did y'all design that, or was that a free?
Straight from the government book.
I mean, that works and it's free, you know, it's free. But I do think the selection of music was really good. So you got good selection, good background. Just definitely work out the mechanical kinks of it, and like I said with the text wrapping, make sure that it's definitely legible, especially on a background with multicolors. You need to choose probably not just the font color, but inking the outside of it, so that way it highlights the font on top of it. But that's all I have to say. Otherwise, pretty good.
So in a sense, in terms of like context, I think it's something we need. We need to understand like the bullying issue in school. So you guys are on good start. And then now, in terms of make your player understand all these things. Well, again, like this is prototype, so that definitely has a good potential. But if you look at the play spent, I think I like play spent the one aspect, because one aspect I really liked about it is there's some educational moment. So here, if you can, you have a pretty decent story. So if you can make it a little stronger, so that like a player can understand a little better, because a lot of times we don't really know what's going on. So I think you have like a good potential. And then in terms of narrative, I mean, you guys have good story. So if you can think about how to minimize text a little bit, but still delivering the story, then it'll be pretty good. Now, another thing that I wanted to think about is who's going to play this game? Like, what's the target audience?
Probably we want to share it around with parents and teachers.
So here, you have to think about like at the end, okay, is it to educate like people who don't understand like bullying aspects, or you can actually make it anybody, any like children can play this game. If they feel like they're one of them, you can actually at the end you can have some like phone number or website, some for their resources. So that's like something you can consider too. So here, yes, in terms of game, it's not really a commercial game, but you can make it an educational game to educate people about bullying and issues about bullying. And then with some resources, you can reach out to these people if you are like that, and you feel like you are experiencing something like that. All right, that's great. Thank you. And next, who wants to go next? Okay, Elia.
I guess I don't.
adventure. Basically, it's a really, really simple game where you're traveling through a cave and you meet a fellow adventurer or creature or just a companion to bring along with you to the end. Or rather, you have the choice to either. Great job explaining. There, you have the choice to bring along a friend on the way or not, and then depending on whether you pick the character up, determines whether you're able to actually complete the game, and then at the end you get whatever reward lies at the end, and then you're able to replay the game. If you want to go ahead and show them yeah, so you start the game and you're presented with 3 branching paths, and you can choose any of them, and each one will give you a different option as to what character you get. Also, we should introduce ourselves. Sorry, I'm Elijah. I did sound design in the project.
I'm Dara, I did art design.
I'm Matt, I just did the programming.
So we were having a little problem with positioning with some of the characters for whatever reason. In some projects, the characters are just fine. In some projects, not so much. We were trying to, yeah. But here you're presented a choice to either bring along a companion or not. Yeah, he's just a little shy. So yeah, let's go ahead and say no. And then you, text is a little hard to read, but it says, you come across a room flooded with lava and no way to cross on your own. Unfortunately, you're unable to cross and must turn back. So please restart. And this time, if we say yes to our little dragon companion, we come across the room and there's no way to cross. But with the dragon, you are able to fly safely to the other side. And then you enter this chest room where we set up that it's already been taken by somebody else. So,
due to time restrictions, I wanted to make this a random thing, whether you get it or not, but just like based off time, I didn't say. And so with the left and center, it's just basically the same thing. Positioning, that's what again is cool. So what this game really does is that it's basically the same for all 3 paths. You get there's 2 other characters where it's sort of like this fallacy of you have a choice, but you really don't. For everyone, you have to take the companion every time. It's basically you can't do everything yourself. So sometimes you really have to like have the companion along. So it's really just
yeah, we wanted to kind of like the PSA sort of aspect of this. We wanted to take this like just kind of not taking everything on for yourself. Kind of you need people in your journey, whatever that is, in order to help you along. So we kind of wanted to create a simple example of that, I suppose. And apologies for the text being so small, and then you can't read any of that. But basically, like he was saying, the choices are the same for each of them. You meet somebody along the way. You have the choice to either pick them up or not pick them up, and then they provide you a way to progress through the level after that. So yeah, that's pretty much our game.
Okay, suggestions or comments on the game, feedback? Yes.
Okay. Maybe instead of, expecting to get everything, maybe you can sometimes like dangerous or like maybe get like 2.
Probably a little more interesting.
then you make like one of the three. Yeah.
Anyone else? Character design is good. I really like the style. That can be something. I try to think about like what's the next step? What's the future of this game? And game itself, not that great. And I know like well, you guys are only 3 people, so I understand that. But I try to think about like why I have to play this game. And then the bully game, even though the structure was simple, but there's this type with this PSA. So if you want to make it, if you want like more people to play, you have to make it obvious. You mentioned that like kind of teamwork aspect, so you have to say it out loud at the beginning. Otherwise, people looking at this and then venture inside the cave, find riches beyond your wildest dreams. I'm not sure whether I want to play this game by like a, well, I don't know, maybe you guys maybe yes, but because there's no like a clear objective. But if you say, oh, like but the reason why I mentioned the PSA, we can still kind of like save this game by, oh, actually we can use this game to understand players' like competencies or personality, right? So basically the idea is the game will be will give you positive outcome if you pick up your friends and help. Or so you can actually make it a little more obvious, or you can even say like, yeah, get to know your own personality like throughout this game. So you have to kind of make it a little more obvious. Otherwise, people might not want to play this game at the beginning. So that's why I made this game, this project as kind of PSA because, yeah, like you only have like 2.5 weeks. There's no way that you will have a great game, right? So that like, but if it's tied with that like, good cause, you can still invite people to play a game. So here, if you want to save this game, yes, the bigger text, and if you make the storyline a little like clearer by having, oh, like this is about teamwork, or find out what types of person you are, and then like people kind of will play understanding, oh, like some choices I make actually depend on the outcome that reveals my personality. And but other than that, like yes, structure-wise, you have 3 branches, 2 branches, so there's definitely good possibility. And then character design I really liked, so you can actually utilize that a little more. And then story-wise, yes, good beginning. Again, but if you can reveal that objective at the beginning, it would be better so people will play this game more. And then I understand like only 3 people, so yeah, good job. Oh, yeah, Mira?
I have 2 suggestions. I don't know how much they would help or what you could do with them, but actually, you know what? I'm gonna split that up into 3 if that's all right.
Ooh.
So the first one is going off of what Professor Nam was saying. I think it would definitely help to reframe your story in a way that's more both relatable and more directly related to your goal of having it be about friendship and working with, or like being helped by your friends, trusting them to help you through things.
Gotcha.
For instance, maybe like you track down a lost family heirloom to this cave, and you were going to go alone, but one friend decided to come help you. Who was it? And you took it there.
Yeah.
And that leads into my second idea, which is you could possibly have a 4 like extremely hard mode path for going it alone, where like you basically cannot win, and maybe you have to find a friend in the cave in order to get through.
Well, yeah, that like, That's kind of what we were going for, is like you have to pick up somebody along the way. And that way we don't have it so that it's really difficult to get to the end, we just have it so you don't get to the end. I know what you're talking about. And I thought like if we develop this out like further, that would definitely be a good option to go with, so I agree.
Alright, and the third option, this is hit or miss, but I thought it might be interesting. Maybe like a little indicator that shows your relationship with your current companion, like on the side of the screen or something.
Okay.
Like how your choices, like positive left or negative or something like that. It shows your relationship with them, sort of.
Gotcha. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Again, you good potential. Yet I also know that probably this you will not revisit this game and develop further. I totally understand. I mean, this is one assignment in GAME232. So, but what I'm trying to say is, it's important because there's many things you can kind of learn from it. Because here again, if you want to against like thousands or millions of games out there, you have to have really clear objective for your game. So here, like bully game again, even though game probably not that great, sorry, but I'm just saying, pretending it's not that great. It's a great game, but because it's the issue is bullying, and then like there's a kind of wide understanding that we have to understand this issue more. You can actually force people to play, or people might play out of curiosity. I mean, what's going on? This is well-known topic, right? But this one is kind of hidden, so sometimes you really have to. I mean,
Hammer it out.
yeah. So sometimes we assume that like our players are so smart, and then they will get like all these hidden messages, but usually they don't. So like you have to kind of tell them upfront in this case. So I mean, good potential, and then like other things. Again, like I think I like the character design a lot. So that could be indicator like a little like a different facial expression. If you make like wrong choices, kind of like the you can tell them like using the different facial expression, that kind of stuff. But good start, and I hope like you will develop further, but I'm not sure. Hopefully. All right, great, thank you. Okay, next group. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't see who raised first.
All right, then.
Are we doing just once or 2 out of 3?
2 out of 3.
Okay. Okay.
Someday.
I love that.
Funny time to not the camera, like just waiting for it to.
Oh yeah. I'm like, wait.
I mean,
I keep like going to
if I
move
lean
over and
forward,
it's
I'm
like.
in the frame. You can just get.
I keep.
You're already in the frame.
Yeah, like I keep like leaning in.
You're already
I look
there.
at the camera like, oh shit.
You're already in the frame.
So we might be out of time. So one group might need to go on Thursday. What? Well, not necessarily, but we'll see. We'll see.
I'm pretty sure people will fight for that.
So I was playing the game. It's
And I
pretty
know,
good.
I know some of you guys
I
have
just
class right after this.
I need to
so-
fix some of the sprites on there. Cause some of them, the backgrounds, like the borders, are still there. When I was like keying out the background, it was on a white background. So when I keyed it out, it didn't show that some of the background was still there.
Yeah.
So like you'll see it when we play it. It's like there's like a thin white border you can see. So
I
that
mean, I
needs to
doubt
be
it's gonna
fixed.
be like.
Yeah, so that needs to be fixed on like 2 of the images. Otherwise, I think we're pretty good.
Yeah.
For like the rest of it.
The arcade's pretty good. It's finished. That's one thing we can definitely
It's
say.
like super awesome, but from my standpoint, because I think my writing's a bit sneaky, to be honest.
Oh
I
yeah.
could have made a perfectly fine game. Looks really nice. Really sloppy. It's terrible.
I like the little clips at the end, like when you die and stuff.
Oh, my very sarcastic writing.
Yeah,
because I was
like that.
Oh, I should have edited your writing better because it's very obvious when you write something versus when I write something. Like,
Yeah.
Like they're two different voices. Actually,
Yeah.
I barely touched it. I'm like, wait, you wrote killer. Oh, perfect. I stopped writing. You should write serial killer. Now you're really dead, son. Now he has really more option. No, motive for why he's still in your house.
Yeah, also the other thing I noticed,
Because I Googled
there's no win screen. Like when you do win, you get the ending, but it doesn't go to the win screen. Like how you die, there's like a block of text, and then it goes to the like, oh, you
Game
died
over.
screen.
We should probably do something about
Yeah.
What's that? Did you get that from Google Docs? Because I didn't.
Oh no. Well,
No, I think she's saying she played the actual game.
yeah, I
and
downloaded it
doesn't-
from here.
And it doesn't actually go.
Is there a different one?
Yeah. Did you download the folder?
Yeah, I downloaded the whole thing. Oh wait, which one is it? This one or this one?
The EXE has like.
Okay.
You might want to update the folder. Is the folder updated at all?
No. Well, it was the least recent, but I added the EXE.
Because I tried to run the EXE and it didn't work.
I added the EXE to this folder and added like all the stuff that it needed so we can run. So I
Okay.
have
Oh, you have it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we might need that.
Yeah, I had it too, but his will probably work better.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it's not running.
Yeah. His hopefully should work.
Give me a second. I'll let you see it.
Or maybe you should.
Y'all ready? Alright. This is going to be our group's Spoiled Milks games called Sky God. Thankful to our wonderful artists back here. These made wonderful cover art and will also be a big portion of our character design. And first, I'd like to show you a quick demo. I'd like to preface this with the original idea that we went off the beaten path a little bit, and our game is not a PSA game. However, it's more of a demo game for our final project, which is what we focused on. So the game you're about to see is more so a skeleton of what we're trying to implement, but it's a lot different from your general PSA game. So here's our character, and as you can see, he has some pretty simple movements, but everything we've done and programmed ourselves. We took the time to try to get everything well done. The sprite, I'll explain further into the slides, but right now I'll probably stop talking and just let you see the level design, layout, and everything else that the character can kind of do. Collision boxes are a little iffy. We do have to work on those just a wee bit. But hopefully you can get a taste for the theme, even though the cameras are a little close and our jump mechanics are a little wonky. But it's basically the idea of a linear platformer. You do have an objective to get to, and that objective will be stated later in the presentation. So sorry that there's not a lot of content you can see right now, but hopefully you can understand the type of controls and type of layout we're trying to go for in this game. And obviously the character will be animated in the final one and not have this big Han Solo with the box on him.
How do you have the collisions set up on the?
I use tile mapping, and the tile maps have an ability to put a collision on each of them. It's a little wonky and finicky if you don't use layers correctly, which you can see. I probably should have the top of my grass like right around here. Like this stuff should be foliage and not background.
Yeah, that's
So my collision goes through it, but that's something we'll have to work on. And just for fun, we'll just fly up to the top of the stage. Alright, so now that you've kind of seen our demo, we know it's a little bare bones as we said, but we're not too worried about it because we will be adding and implementing a lot more. This wasn't supposed to be the final game, but more so a base of it. So first off, I'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Seth Usher. I'm the project manager in environmental sprite arts. Stephen Falco is our lead coder and game integrator, but he's not here right now, so that's why I'm speaking for him.
Chance on the sound design.
I'm Raymond. I did story design as well as a little bit of sound design.
I'm Anthony DeWin, and I do sprite animation and also sprite art.
And Michael Bassett. I'm with game art.
First, I would like to give some credits to all the assets that we did use. We've been able to create the great demo that we have, and I don't want to inform people wrongly that, you know, everything we created was exactly from ourselves. The tile set in which you see, which also provides the background, and while I personally edited it and using the tile map, as some of y'all know, is a little different. You have to make the edits, you just get parts of it. The wonderful art was done by the works of Ansmans from itch.io. And the micro character brace, which was also a edited version of our own character sprite sheet, was made by Casper Wazian. They're both on the platform itch.io. If you want to check them out, and they also both provide free assets.
So our original concept was actually starring in a sort of school which trains you for an afterwards. But although obviously we have shifted, I'll say, off the track.
It was supposed to be more of a Fallout type school type theme where you move on from classroom bosses to bosses, while we still have that linear aspect going on. That aspect has changed obviously because our themes changed. We wanted to match the theme with the tile set and everything else that we could do with it to make a nice, smooth flowing linear path.
So early on during the process, we noticed that our deadline was not like 2 weeks from now, and instead was like, I think 1 week from now. So we changed the approach that we had, and we decided to create this demo for our final project instead. And so that's basically how Sky Guy was born, and that name was also kind of just randomly thought up. We didn't exactly know what to name it. That could change at some point in time, but for right now it's Sky Guy.
And as you can see from the image on the top right, that's the original Idol 00 sprite animation. And in about an hour, our artist actually came up with the concept that you can see currently drawn on, which I thought was really cool. So I just wanted to put that out.
So with our change in concept, we basically changed the whole story and the narrative. We went from the grounded inside of a school Fallout type of realm to a more like open area environment, with our main character being Sky Guy, venturing through the mysterious land with the purple crystal being his main project.
The team did great. The team did great, all coming together, following our end goals. That's all I expected and that's what we done. We were able to come up with a good layout, environment design, that would allow for some integrity.
Some big plans for the futures of our game. As you can see, we do plan obviously to move on with this because it is a skeleton for our final project, which means that we can't really abandon it. As you can see, obviously, there were not the hazards, there were not the ink conditions, there were not music, yada yada yada, a lot of sprite animations, all that stuff. Because we mainly wanted to focus on getting the core game mechanics down before we started making things look pretty. We needed to make sure we had a camera that followed the player decently. We need to make sure we can implement the character moving in addition to collision boxes, and all that good jazz. We need to make sure that our core elements were great. So we focused on that, and we have a good base to work off. There's definitely more improvement, as you can see, and we hope to make a lot more improvement that you will all be able to notice. And we hope to release this on the PC platform, and hopefully our end goal is to actually make it on itch.io as a full builded game. Some things to implement, as you can see in more of this manner, would be our hazards, more levels. We want to make enemies. We're going to have the ink conditions of purple crystal that you see in the concept. We want health, we want inventory, and we want a HUD that displays these types of things. We want full animation, and we want story. A big thing of our game is that story. It's a linear platformer. It's going to have a story to make it interesting to captivate the player in some sense. So, as Raven, as a story designer, we actually have a lot of our music and story already ready and written out and collected. However, we don't have it all implemented yet. Just because the person that mainly implements that is Steven, and he's a one-man army because he's the best coder we have on our team. So while we have everything ready and we have everything at our leisure, it takes a lot of time to bring all that stuff in and implement. So we hope that in the coming days, when we present our game as our final, you will all get to see a lot of improvement and actually enjoy the game for what we hope it is. Thank you for your time.
group asked me about like doing slightly different things, so I allow them to do it. But I kind of wanted to see a little more kind of presentable prototype, not just game mechanics. But for other people, yes, final project will be something similar to that. And then actually, I'm going to go over like everything you do here. So. You guys kind of started a little earlier, but yes, I'm going to talk about that 2D animation along with, I don't really cover tile map because if it's a small enough project, it's kind of easier just to do it kind of manually. But I at least introduce tile map a little bit, and then I usually cover enemy AI, and some teleport system and like picking up the items portion and that kind of stuff. So if you want to know more about the final, you can go to the lesson like Unify lesson 5-C 456. That's basically our final project. And then to get there, actually, we're gonna talk about Space Shooter and Flappy Bird. And then Space Shooter, we talk about the bullet system along with the free patch. And then the Flappy Bird, we talk about the camera player, camera tracks player. So a little bit of the camera work and that kind of stuff. So this one, I don't have much to comment yet because yes, good start. Yet I really don't see that prototype yet, so it's kind of hard for me to comment. And in terms of team management, everyone knew today's presentation day, so definitely, I'm not kind of singling out Stefan, but it would be a lot better if he was here, right? So that's like a little kind of hiccup you guys have, but good start. But I'm going to go over literally what you did here in like next week and the following week, so you will get more lessons on those things. Okay. All right, I think we have just time for one more group. We're gonna do 5 again, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. It'd be really weird to do the third time.
Literally.
Okay, so we're group 1, I guess. Our game is No Way Out. I am Trevor Simonson. I guess project lead. I picked out the music, and that helped a little bit with the writing and the overarching plot with the choices.
I'm Marquise, and I did the programming at the beginning.
Allison, I did all our sorry, and the text. I'm programming.
So yeah, our concept for the game is like a intruder type thing. Kind of inspiration is something like Halloween or Until Dawn, the game, you know that. So it's not PSA obviously, other than if someone's trying to do it, you don't die. So it just starts out, it's just you don't see your character. I don't think you even see it. Did you ever see the killer?
No.
You see the that's all. So And so it starts out, you're just in your bedroom, you hear a noise, then you can choose to either leave the room or jump out the window. If you jump out the window, you fall 3 stories and crack your head open and die. So yeah, you just bleed out. And yeah, start over. So if you pick the right choice and you leave the room and you kind of head out to investigate the noise, and then you seem to see a figure of a person, so you can either choose to continue to walk down the hallway or call the police. We'll call the police, call. Now you just have to wait till they get here. So defend yourself, and you go to the kitchen, and then you can either decide to grab a knife from the kitchen or go back to your bedroom and try to open the safe, because you have a gun in there. So we'll go back, get into your room, and you have the gun. You can either try and go out now that you have the gun, or you can just hide and be defensive and try to wait it out. We'll hide, and then you realize you don't have any bullets, so it's a good thing you stayed. Then you keep staying. You can either run out now with the bullets, or you can hide under the bed. So we'll just continue to hide in there, and so you can either just stay hidden or shoot them in the foot. So shoot them, and you can either decide to finish them and kill them, or just run, full run. And so you decide to run, and then you can either just run and hide somewhere else now and wait it out, or you can run to the front door. So we'll run to the front door, and pretty much you're fine, you win. Yeah, it's just a lot of winning dialogue, as he said. Just explains that, so it doesn't seem like you just immediately win.
And you can see on the top that it says ending win. There's about 3 endings you can get in the game.
Yeah, there's a couple where you die. There's a couple where you win. One of the other winnings is you can just hide long enough that the police arrive. So, and then obviously there's death. Like if you had tried to stay and kill him, he would have kicked you in like the back of your leg, and then you fall, and then he just kills you. So
there's a lot more death.
Yeah, there's more deaths than wins, but I feel like that's more realistic. So I think just as a whole, the biggest problem we had was we had a lot of things we wanted to have. Like when it came to hiding, we wanted to add a timer, and then just be in the room and be like, you can investigate these different parts of the room and decide to hide there, but you only have, let's say, 30 seconds. And obviously, if you don't pick anything in 30 seconds, you lose. But your choice of where you hide would differ in the outcome. And then we wanted to have like health, so you could. It wouldn't just be like, oh, you messed up, you died. It could be like he cut you or something. You take some health, and as long as you make it out with some health, you win. But then we came to the realization, wait, this is due like in such a short amount of time, we don't have that kind of time. And then we also had problems when we started branching it out and almost creating lighter like holes where we had to continue it because we didn't have a logical way to finish it. So some of them aren't probably as logical as they would sound. But it was kind of, to keep the scope low, we just had to be like, well, we don't want to continue that path, so we'll just have to die. Did you have any trouble coding?
No, not necessarily. Mainly just like making sure all the tasks made sense. There was like, I guess making sure that keeping the text like as digestible as possible. So I had to add like a lot of blocks where like you could
about sound, because I did a lot of like FL stages, like, oh, you can continue to go to this next text. And I did it before where I had like a sound, if you hear like the killer's footsteps, you could continue to the next text is something like a killer. But what would happen is that it would keep playing that sound repeatedly. So all you hear is just the footsteps repeating over and over, and it just like get increasingly louder. So you just have to take that out and just, when you went to a new stage, add sound effects. So it would just play it once and then again.
I guess I didn't cover that. Basically, you have to stop it because we're only using one audio listener. Before you play, before you do the play one shot, you basically have to stop the sound. Yeah, I'll kind of talk about that later. Then I cover that.
With the art.
Not really. Some of the scripts, those like backgrounds, like a lot of them, it was really hard to find the house at night for some reason. But like this is actually daytime, and I had to like Photoshop it so it made it look like it's nighttime. Like here you can see like the hero with the sprites. It's kind of like the background is white, and so when I was keying on the background, it didn't show whether or not some of it was still on there. So there's that. But other than that, like this is also like a daytime scene. I'll try to like change it to nighttime. And here, like again, the whole background thing, it didn't show like the border. So I guess just like fix that. Other than that,
another thing we kind of ran into with the writing is I helped with a couple of the decisions on the writing, and she realized when she got to that point, we have very different like voices and how we wrote the character. So some of them kind of sound out of character or like weird, but that's just because we had two writers. So I guess, but that also ran into the scope thing where we had a lot of choices and we wanted to have at least some decent amount of dialogue. And for her to have to write that all was a lot, so I tried to help, but then we ran into the problem where some of the dialogue may sound completely different, and that's because it was me and not her. But
Okay, what's that? You have a comment or?
No.
No,
Not me every time.
No. I saw you like hands were going on. All right, then.
When it comes to the light blockers, when I use Photoshop, one thing that I do whenever I use that is that underneath that is that I have it as like a different color. You can have it as like green, blue, whatever, anything that's not like whatever logic trying to get rid of, and that would like reveal that, so that way you're able to find those and erase those.
yeah, I realized that. Yeah, probably.
Anyone else? I think it's it could be PSA. I think. I mean, tone down a little bit, and then basically how to respond to intruder. So fear always works. So it could be. And another thing I like is that kind of items. Like you can pick up something, and then like it's still to the like a choose your own adventure with a item like gun or knife. So that came out pretty nicely, I think. And yeah, sound is good. Sound is good. Yeah. And it kind of creates the multi-layer sounds kind of even create more kind of spooky sound. So I think it works pretty well. Any other comments? Anything else? Yes.
I really like how you did like the first person objects in your field. Like, and I wish I thought of it, so now you're
All right, anything else?
Oh, to say that, when you type in like person holding gun, you actually POV, and we'll have the POV of someone.
Good. All right, I mean, we're out of time, so I know you guys really want to do it today, but we're just out of time. So you guys will do it Thursday. And for the final submission, again, only one person needs to submit it. And if you need a little more time, like say like Thursday, Friday, is fine. Okay, so you can still take a little more time if you want to tweak it. And other things, again, like we now have a little more than a month, and it's a good time for you to think about like final product. Final product will be 2D scroller, 2D platformer. And then if you want to see what I usually cover, again, you can go to the lesson like 5-4, 5, 6. So another thing is this presentation. Okay, now you understand, oh, I actually didn't know what to present, but probably now by now, because you already did it, now you're thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, or I shouldn't say certain things. So basically, we're going to talk about GDD, like a game design document. You probably use it or created one in 210, but we're going to actually, I'm going to ask you to think about all these things in game design document for your final project. So later, when you do the presentation for your final, you can say, oh, this is a target audience would be like teenagers, and then like rating would be like E, or so you can actually think about that while planning your final project. And for the final project, I'm not going to mix every group, but we will reduce number of groups. So, like for instance, we have only 3 people in one group, and so they can join other group, or you can think about that as well. But we're going to form a group. You can stay with your group, that's fine, but we'll try to make a little adjustment next week. Not anytime soon, but like next week. All right, you guys did a great job, and then I'll see you guys on Thursday.